Hey guys, I just had to record this really without any prep because I was thinking a minute ago about something that uh, an instructor had once told, not just me, I suppose it was a whole class of people there, but it really hit on an idea, well, honestly, probably the main idea behind this whole channel. And I thought it was really poignant and it's really simple. It's really simple, easy to remember, and therefore it's something that's easy to kind of keep in your head as you're going. And it's sort of the core of what it is to lead in a dance. And it was just this: it is that everything you do is a statement. It's not a question. Okay? And what he meant by that, um, it's such a simple statement, but it's actually such a complex idea. But what he meant is that you are not asking her where she would like to go next. You're not asking her which move would she like to do. You're not asking her to decide things for you effectively. And I know that can maybe, for those guys that are a little more hesitant, that can actually seem like, oh no, I don't want to, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I don't want to be too forceful. I don't want to, this or that reason. And honestly, guys, I don't say that to be harsh. I can 100% sympathize with it. If I have a big problem still, it's that I still can struggle with that at times. But the reason that I touch on this is because it hits at the core of what is the biggest issue. And I talked about this in the last video, but it's the biggest issue with guys that I see, certainly, that are trying to learn how to do this stuff. And it's this hesitation. It's this lack of decisiveness. And I think that the real reason for that is that there's this conflating of ideas where they mistake being decisive for being infallible. Okay? You're just a human. You know what I mean? You're just a man. You're just a person. You can't expect to never choose wrong. Okay, but the real point is not choosing correctly. It's the choosing. It's something I actually kind of learned for myself kind of earlier on when I started taking, actual dance classes. And, I've always enjoyed dancing, but I didn't know a lot of technical moves or anything until maybe a few years ago, because I just never bothered to take a class. And when I finally did, I got exposed to dancing with a lot of different people frequently, which means the biggest thing I had to do was understand that everyone's a little different, everyone follows a little different, everyone leads a little different, but there's a lot of core traits and core tenets you can follow that really get you where you want to go, even if you don't know all the moves. But the thing that I noticed was that a lot of followers will they'll back lead. It's called back leading, and that means that they kind of resist you. They kind of try to push things in the direction that they think it should go. And a lot of that is not because they're trying to take over. It's not because they're trying to usurp your role as leader. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that they haven't learned to relax enough into the role of following. The same way you might be struggling with taking ownership of leading. They haven't learned to relinquish control enough to just follow. But what's interesting is that that's something that you can actually fix as the leader. You can actually undo that, and if you practice enough at it, you can undo it halfway through the dance. You know what I mean? You can do it mid-dance. What will happen is that if you're leading well, they'll start to sense this certainty, this firm lead. This guy is in control, and they may not even be thinking about it. It might just be this subconscious feeling that they're getting. But the point is that they're noticing the control, and therefore the clarity and certainty and decisiveness that is being exerted from their lead. And all of a sudden, they almost subconsciously can relax into the follow. They can relax into whatever he's deciding for them in the dance. And the thing is that they actually want that to happen. Whether they're thinking about it or not, they want it to happen, because here's the thing. It's very taxing to do two jobs at once. It's very difficult to lead and follow at the same time. It's basically impossible, at least to do it well. But when you, as the leader, are being indecisive, and again, that doesn't mean you're deciding correctly all the time, but you're deciding. But when you're not doing that, when you're being indecisive, you're demanding that they decide for you, okay? For whatever reason, whether it's because you're afraid to tell them what to do or because you're just afraid you don't know enough to lead them properly, it doesn't matter. The point is, when you do that, they feel that hesitation, they feel this lack of control being exerted from their lead, and all of a sudden they're not safe anymore, or they don't feel safe anymore. They don't feel that he's got them. They don't feel now that they can afford to really express themselves, to really let go and do these bigger moves, or do these more fun, flourish, just fun, maybe sexy kind of. They can't do any of that because now they don't have the opportunity, because he's not exerting the control necessary for them to feel secure enough to let go. Okay, think of a dance for a follower as a very long and extended trust fall. That's what it is. That's what it feels like too, because you as the follower are always sort of half a second behind them. You're not in a position really to make a decision, because by the time, if your leader suddenly doesn't decide, by the time you realize and you have to decide, it's too late. Pretty much always, it's too late. Which means, guys, if you're doing that, if you're putting her in that position, you're putting her in an inherently lose-lose situation. And, maybe she won't notice it, but she will eventually if you keep doing it. And here's the thing, and what I learned is they would so much rather you decide and decide wrong than to not decide at all. That, I think most guys get that completely backwards, okay? They would just rather you choose, because at least if you choose, they can commit. They have something to go along with. But if you don't, that uncertainty attacks them from every angle. They don't have anything to push off of. They don't have any security to execute their moves with. They don't have any sense of direction. I don't know. Am I supposed to do this? Am I even safe? Did he even look for all the couples around us? Is anything prepared for me to take this leap of faith? Probably not. And even if so, she doesn't know, because she didn't have time to check either. She's following. She's reacting. You're the initiator. She's the reactor. That's the point. That's the dance. That's the dynamic. So as a result, anytime you're not initiating, anytime you're not creating the setup, she has nothing to react to. But she's still forced to react because that's the position she's in. Don't do that to her. And I don't just say this out of concern for them. I say this for you too, because here's the thing. If you're not doing that, you're not really doing anything. You're not able to enjoy the dance. Not really. And that's the real point of all this, is that I want you guys to understand that there's trade-offs here. And that's a great thing. That's a beautiful thing, because the same way that the followers have to get used to relaxing and kind of yielding to what's being asked of them, I guess, to wherever they're being directed to. The benefit of that, that's the price they pay, but the benefit of that is that they don't need to concern themselves with what step is next. They don't really need to think about too much at all, other than, are they following well? Are they relaxing into it? Are they, maybe now they can consider whether or not they're going to express themselves in this way or that way. They can make these other calculations, but they have to only have that one job if they're going to be able to effectively make that trade-off, which is the point for them. The point for you and your trade-off is this: you have to accept the responsibility, both for initiating not just the dance itself, but every step along the way. You have to choose, which means you have to be the planner, you have to be the thinker, you got to be the guy, you got to think, you got to know which step you're going to do next before you ever even do it. It probably wouldn't hurt to be a couple steps ahead if you can think that far. Don't worry about that part right now. Just understand that you have to think through the whole dance. And you'd think, well, geez, that means I can't enjoy myself. Well, partly that's not really the point. You're not having to necessarily sit there and express yourself real hard either. You get good enough and you'll be able to do that too, trust me, because this other stuff will become second nature. But from the outset, the point for you, the price you pay for this trade-off, is you have to accept all that responsibility throughout the entirety of the dance and everything that comes with it. The benefit for you is that you get to enjoy all of the positives of every decision you make, on top of the fact that, and I mean, that's a lot of things. I know that sounds vague, but I'm talking about every little part of that. Even if it's nothing more than you get to see your follower smile because that felt really good, whatever you just chose to do, and she really enjoyed it. Maybe she expressed herself really well, or it was this fun little sexy move or something like that. That's just one thing. Personally, that's one of my favorite parts, but there's so many things to that. But honestly, the real benefit for you is that by accepting the responsibility, you are permanently the decider. You always have the ability to choose. You always have the ability to choose again. So even if you chose wrong on the last thing, you're not done. Until the song's over, you're not done. You get to go again. You get to choose again. Okay, that didn't go well. I want to do this now. Or, you know what, I realized what I did wrong trying to do this move the last time. I'm going to fix it. Now let's try it again. Here we go. I got it right now. You always have that power. She actually never has that power, which is probably the hardest part about learning to follow. She has no real say in what's happening. She doesn't have a lot of burden necessarily. In other words, she doesn't have to be thinking about the steps. She doesn't have to be thinking too hard about where we're going, what's going next. Really, she doesn't have to think about that at all, other than maybe help you to not run into people. You can't see, you don't have eyes in the back of your head, but either way, she's not having to do most of the thinking and the planning and everything else. She is feeling. She is already in a delayed state, so she's behind what you're doing because you're the one that's having to initiate it. She's reacting. Reacting will always be slower. But she, as a result of that, is in this perpetual state of feeling. And that's a really big distinction, because guys make this mistake of thinking that they'll get in their heads as they're dancing, as they're leading, saying, "Oh God, I gotta do this next. Do I even know how to do this one? Oh man, I've done this turn with her 4 times in a row. I don't know what to do next. I'm blanking. I can't think of it. Oh God, am I even on beat? Am I doing all those thoughts constantly going through your head, even when you're doing well, even when things are going smoothly? These things are whirling through your head a little bit. That's fine. The thing that guys freak out about is that they think she can see that. They think that she can read their minds. She can't. Unless you're literally telling her the whole time, which some guys do. I don't recommend that. It's not good. It doesn't build a lot of confidence. She doesn't know that. She's not in your head. Even if it feels like it, she's not. She is actually in her own world. What she's focusing on is, what does it feel like? He just made me do this. What did that feel like? Did it feel good? Did it feel secure? Did he lead that really smoothly? Ooh, I like the little nuance. Oh man, when he moved me like that, it made me feel this way. Or that just suddenly made me want to do this crazy expression, and I wasn't even thinking about doing that, but man, when he did it, I just felt it, and I just went with it. These are the things that are going through her mind. These are the things that she's concerning herself with the whole time. She isn't worried about your plans and your schemes and everything else that you're trying to do. She's leaving that to you. Ideally, she would leave all of that to you and never have to worry about any of it particularly, other than how she's meant to react to it. Is she doing steps correctly and so on? That's fine. That's part of dancing. She's not concerned with what decision you make. The only thing she's going to feel is when you don't make a decision, or when you make it maybe too late, or you try to change halfway through. Those are the things she's going to feel, because she won't be able to miss it. It's going to feel like, oh, we were going this way. Whoa, what was this? Oh, he stopped it halfway through. Well, now I'm stuck in this different place now. I got to reassess, how do I feel right now? You know what I mean? That's where her head's at. Okay? If you can accept that premise and say, all right, all that means for me then is that I have to be decisive. I have to decide. I don't even have to decide well. I just have to decide. Okay, I'm going to make everything I do a statement. It's not a question. I'm going to say, this is where we're going. Not, would you like to go here, but here's where I'm going. You need to come with me. Let's go. Here we go. I promise you guys, she'll go. And in fact, she will appreciate the clarity. She will appreciate the certainty. It's not going to feel controlling, and it's not going to feel overly burdensome to have to follow. Oh, this guy doesn't know what that's not even going through her head. It's not. Even if it looks like it. And I know there's some girls that just have that look on their face, like they're just judging you every second of the. I promise you, typically all that means is that they're in their own head, not yours. Don't worry about that. All you need to worry about is making everything you do a statement. Repeat that in your head as you're going. Repeat that. Say, okay, I'm going to turn her this way, or I'm going to take her across my body, or I'm going to do these things next. Not, oh, I hope she's ready for this, or oh, I'm good. No. Those are all of the considerations. That's fine too, but from your perspective, it needs to be a statement. A clear, not forceful, but a clear, certain statement. You know you're going here. Nothing's going to stop you. You're going. That's it. Because you're dancing together, because she's following you, you're basically attached to each other. If you go and you go with certainty, she has to come with you. That's just the nature of the whole dynamic. She doesn't have physically, she really doesn't have much choice. And that's good, because she doesn't want to have to exert that extra control to get there. Because for her, that's a lot harder. She's behind you. She's not physically behind you, but she is time-wise behind. Even if it's like a half a second or something like that. It might even be less. But the point is, she can't go, if she's following correctly, she can't go until you go. And if you are going with somehow in your mind that she's going to give it the okay before you do it, otherwise you can't do it, you're not going to decide, in which case she's going to be sitting there feeling, he's not going. I think he wants us to go this way, but now I don't know. Well, by that time, she's got to do something, but by that time, it's too late. And even if she's real good at best, the only way she can save it is just by kind of going through it, and you just got to hope that that's what he wanted you to do, and pray. I don't know. It's not good. It's not a good situation. It's not a good place to be in. Don't put her there. You're far better off putting her in a situation where, that wasn't a great move, or, accidentally went too far this way, or oh god, there was a couple there I had to stop halfway through. But you deciding to do the move is far better. Is far better because it gives her something to react to. She can't do her job if you don't do your job. That is the nature of leading. Think about that, guys. Consider the entire time you're dancing, am I making a statement with everything that I do? If you can honestly say that, hell, if you can honestly say that for 70% of the dance, you've succeeded. You win. That's it. That's the foundation that you want. Everything else you do, you will build off of that. But if you aren't doing that, you need to focus on that first. Don't ask questions. You're the leader. You're in a position where it doesn't behoove anybody to question you. Not because you're infallible. That's got nothing to do with it. You're responsible, which means they have to kind of just accept your decisions. There's benefits for them to doing so, to just following you. But they can't if you don't decide. Okay? You can't have it both ways. You can't have the benefits of being the leader without accepting the responsibility that comes with it. So think about that, guys. It's a very simple phrase, but it's super impactful, and it's such an easy thing to remember as you're dancing. It is a statement, not a question. Repeat that in your mind until it's just buried in there and you can't possibly forget it. Okay? It makes everything after that so much smoother. All right? Think about it. Stay tuned. There'll be more coming. But I just had to get that one out there because I thought, man, I can't forget this. This is such a good one to pass on to people because it's so simple, but it's so deep. It's such a substantive idea. So keep it in mind. Take it out dancing with you, or stay tuned. There will be more. Thanks. Later.